The content discussed in this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be construed as financial or mortgage advice. Always consult with a licensed professional before making any decisions regarding mortgages or financial matters.
Welcome to the Canadian Mortgage Show. Here are mortgage professionals Alex Pang and Alex Shanks to cut through the BS and educate Canadians on all things mortgages and real estate.
Per the CMHC, immigration caps that they recently did are contributing to lower asking rents in Canada. Now, former immigration minister Mark Miller tweeted that a few days ago. A few thoughts came to mind when I saw that. First, no shit, Sherlock, and thank you, Captain Obvious. We told you that right from the very beginning. Welcome to another episode of the Canadian Mortgage Show. This is episode 45. Alex Pang here, alongside with Alex Shanks. Alex, how are you doing? How was camping?
It's going pretty good there, man. I gotta ask, are you wearing the merch, or are you wearing your own personal one? What nice.
Sure, I'm wearing the merch.
We're just going that's not listening. Alex is in white, I'm in black. I like the black color. I usually black hat and everything, but they're pretty slick.
I'm actually gonna I didn't mention it to Alex offline, but I'm thinking of maybe we should get some hats done for the pod too. Maybe we'll do that for the anniversary.
I need hats are a really hard thing for me to find to like fit my head properly. Like I need like a specific trucker hat. So if we can find those, that'd be beautiful.
Yeah. I'm really particular with my hats too. I don't like the fitted hats. I like the adjustables. And I'm okay with the Velcro adjustable or the, what's he called? The peg ones, the plastic.
Yeah, I don't like the Velcro one.
Oh, okay. And I don't like the flat brim. I like it rounded. Yeah. And some of the, I don't know what the cap part is super tight to your head. Yeah. I like some sort of spacing. So this one is actually at Sandpiper, the golf course. We were there for the weekend. I guess I'll go how my weekend was first. I went golfing for a buddy's stag. Now this Sandpiper golf course is amazing. It's right outside of Mission, BC. It's in the Fraser Valley. It's called Harrison Mills. And they have, if you can see here on the video, they have electric motorcycle golf carts.
Yeah.
And I have not heard of that before. Have you heard of that before?
I've never heard that, man. I'm looking at that picture and I'm like, oof, I could get in some trouble with that. I think I might.
That was amazing. Yeah, so for those of you who are not on the video side, it's essentially like you're almost riding your golf clubs. So think of it as an electric scooter, but a motorcycle version. And there's a big kind of space in the middle where you just put your golf clubs right there. So yeah, so it's like a scooter, but a motorcycle, and you're riding your golf club. So that was amazing. It was a pretty long day on the stag. It's actually not close. It was about an hour and a half drive. I picked up my buddy from Coquitlam, hour and a half there, and then we played. Of course, we're gonna do some drinking, and it was normally a 5-hour round, but it turned into 6, and then debauchery in the second round. But this is my buddy Howard. He gave me permission for using this video. Shout out to him. He's actually been a loyal fan or follower and listener since the very beginning. When I told him about the pod, he listens to our pod during workouts. So shout out to Howard. Thank you, Howard, for following. He's getting married next week, so this is his stag that we're doing. So shout out to Howard and congrats to him. And now tell me about your camping.
You're
not done camping.
We're going camping again tomorrow. It's just the all of summer is just straight camping. And yeah, we went. So I'm on the island. I'm on Vancouver Island, and then we went to another island. We went to Denman Island for a soccer tournament. So we caught a ferry on the with our trailer, brought that over. Got to stay with some friends right on the pretty much on the beach, and it was a pretty good weekend. My wife got to play soccer. She used to play pretty competitive back in the day. And so it was pretty fun getting to watch her play that again, and the kids getting to watch as well. I was just on straight full daddy duty, chasing the kids around that way. No soccer for me, but it was a good weekend.
Awesome. And where are you heading this weekend?
Heading to Horn Lake. My family owns a cabin there, and so we're gonna go hang out there. Gonna go do some wakeboarding, wake surfing, all the good stuff behind the boat this weekend. So I'm pretty excited because usually we get out earlier in July, and we've just been camping. So that's gonna be this weekend.
My brother-in-law used to own a boat, and he used to take us wake surfing,
Yeah,
and I was not very good at it. I think how some people do it is, I guess, jet skiing or wakeboarding. You can pull yourself up,
yep,
like I guess is a way you're being pulled up, like you're lying down, and then the speed of the boat pulls you up,
yep.
right? And how he did it was kind of balance the tip of the front of the board off the back of the boat, and then slowly inch off the boat. And that's how we do it. And you're hanging onto the rope just as a guide kind of thing. And at a certain point, you throw the rope back onto the boat.
Yeah.
So he did that. I could not get off without bailing. I was like slowly inching off. And then,
That's a more advanced way to do it. Like I can jump off the
okay.
boat, like I can jump and land on it. But I mean, those are like you're going from like trying to get up. Like the easiest way for people to get up is actually lie on their tummy and get up like you would on a surfboard. That's kind of like sometimes the
Oh,
way we teach people: lie on your tummy,
okay.
like a surfboard, or do it the way you said, like in the water. And sometimes like we have to like hold people to get their feet in the right spot. But like what you
Yeah.
like off the back, like that's harder. That's for people that have.
Yeah.
I mean,
That was harder. Yeah, that was so hard. And then I did it way back when I is it called wake surfing or jet skiing, where it's almost like your feet is binded to the board.
That's wakeboarding. So if your feet are like strapped to it, that's wakeboarding.
Okay, yeah. I think that was wakeboarding we did, and that was easier because we had to do the whole lying down, and then the speed of the boat pulls you up. And then the wake surfing obviously was harder because you're not binded to the board or anything. And we had guys, we were recording people on video, so hopefully your wife and your family can record you going on there and then throw it on social.
We do,
talk about it.
I mean, I'll post it. We do one now. It's called it's like wake surfing, but it's actually with we actually have a big fin, and so it's like we're riding like 5 feet out of the water now. Like I don't know if you've ever seen that, and it's
oh yes, I've seen that.
Yeah, and it's
are you sitting or standing?
Standing. So that air chairing is where you sit. This one you're actually standing, and it's like it is super cool to do. And it's funny to watch the people that have never done it before to try because they shoot off, they go flying everywhere.
Right. So obviously, since you're a taller man, do you find it harder to balance on a board than say myself?
Yeah, I actually used to wakeboard professionally back in the day, and
oh wow,
height did become an issue. Like I was like, it's easier for someone that's smaller, obviously, to do a lot more tricks than I would. For like to do the wake surfing on the fin, like what I have to do is I just have to really crouch down because like a lot of my weight, the more weight you put backwards, the more you're gonna fly in the air.
Yeah. Especially you need a low center of gravity when it comes to any balancing thing, even like skiing, snowboarding, everything like that. Right. One more thing before we get into the episode, we do have a new producer who's doing amazing things for us in the back end. Just want to give a special shout out to EJ. Welcome aboard. Glad you're on the team, and he's already done some amazing things for us. So welcome, EJ. And
added to us. You can help with.
Yeah, welcome to the team. And he's already really helped us with our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel was quite embarrassing, so he's made us look a little more professional, more legit. So, welcome to the big boys club. So,
no, exactly.
Let's get started, shall we?
Let's go into it. I mean, hey, this is like some good news. I mean, Scotiabank is sometimes one of the banks that are more on the negative side, or they're just kind of in the middle. And they're saying that they believe the Canadian dollar could reach 78 cents by the end of this year. Now, I'd have to go back. Like, when was the last time we're actually up that high? I mean, we've been sitting at like 71, 72, below 70. Now, for people to understand this does not mean that the Canadian economy is doing great. We all know that the Canadian economy is not doing great, but what's happening right now is the U.S. is not doing great. And so it weakening means, hey, people are taking money out of the U.S. and they're trying to find other places. And so that's where it is kind of great to see that. I mean, I sure would love to be able to go to the U.S. And not feel like I'm freaking paying 50% more. That would be nice.
Yeah, exactly. The last time, oh man, I remember the days when there was a small moment in time where Canadian dollar was on par with US.
Wow.
And everyone was like, you better load up on US dollar. And it was good for Canadians to do it, but I guess for our exports, it hurt because our goods was more expensive to export. So yeah, it wasn't great for the exporting business, but I guess the importing worked out because our dollar was stronger. Yeah, so like Alex saying, this may actually be, on purpose because U.S. economy weakening. Here's a thing here that, well, having a stronger Canadian dollar is actually not good for our exports. So good for consumers, but not good for our exports because we export a lot of our resources. Oil, um, potash, corn, canola oil, all that stuff. Now, here's a thing on the graphic here that maybe the Trump administration may be purposely devaluing their dollar. Now, here's a clip here where advisor close to the former president, former trade chief Robert Lighthizer, they're considering policies that would weaken the dollar relative to other currencies, which could juice U.S. exports, but also fuel inflation. So it's kind of like a pro and a con at the same right. So yeah, good for Canadians, not so good for exports.
Yeah, and now, I mean, the funny thing talking about Trump and tariffs and stuff, I mean, we did have a deadline there yesterday. Nothing crazy has like really come out from it. The other thing though is like I'm starting to see some news that like it is just straight propaganda. Like the tariff, like the stuff that Trump is talking about, there's people inside of his administration saying that it's just solely for propaganda. They saw that everything was going. Then there's another post that supposedly the Liberals and Mike Carney were already doing testing on tariff information, that they were doing it 4 months, getting prepared for obviously the actual voting. And it's like, well, do all these people just have this information? And obviously we're all just the people that get it at the end of it. And they just use it to manipulate stuff.
Speaking of which, a little on the tangent here, there's a report going on in social. There's a CBC reporter that resigned because his management told him not to book conservative guests. Yeah. And he refused. I forget the name, but he has taken CBC to court, and he's made it public, and he put this, put it out in social. That basically, it just basically says that CBC is like propaganda. They can only show liberal stuff and all that stuff. So this is kind of a classic example of mainstream media being, more left leaning. Yeah, be careful. Like, don't listen to all the news. Like, don't always listen to the headlines. Listen to people on the ground, especially when it comes to housing. Talk to people in the industry. Alex and myself, same thing as realtors in the industry.
And I mean, social media is a hard one. Like, hey, me and Alex are on social media. This is what you would call social media. And I mean, maybe do want us lean one way more than the other. That's where you want to make sure that you're getting both sides. Again, we've talked about it. I force my algorithm to ensure that I'm always getting other stuff. Even if it's not something that I may not agree on, I'm going to watch that entire video so that I'm always getting that different information, because you can just go down a deep, dark hole of all negative and it's going to make you think that the world is just on fire. Where, hey, it's not great right now, but it is actually better than what we think, because social media and the media is pushing only negative.
Yeah, exactly. So next up here, we talked about job layoffs slowly happening across industries here. Here's one. Rogers, a big media company, has laid off 1,000+ call center workers. Now, up until now, I thought all call centers have been outsourced to either the Philippines or India, Alex. But apparently they still have 1,000 call center workers. My guess is these are probably more of the higher level ones, the ones that are more complicated systems like investigations or like the retention team or something like that. But like I've experienced it myself. I've been downsized before. And like companies are so underhanded to do this. So it came out that they were secretly using the people who eventually got laid off, to train the AI that would replace them. What do you do? All that stuff. We just want, and of course, during that time, they coin it as we want to be more efficient. And, from a business perspective, yes. But as a worker, when you think efficiency, you think, damn, my job's going to be obsolete, and i.e., I'm going to get downsized. There's this huge like Reddit post going that, workers that were silenced, overworked, underpaid, discarded. I mean, it's basically like that in any corporate
Yeah.
world or any business where you're working. You may work like 5, 10, 20 years for a company, but at the end of the day, like we are replaceable.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's where everyone,
folks,
that's where everyone always thinks like, oh, I'm doing what's best for the company. It's like, you have to do what's best for you. Never think about, unless you're the owner of that business, difference. But it's like when you gotta look out for yourself. IBM also laid off, I think it's 1,800 people. And IBM was like, they're the ones that are setting up these other companies to be able to use the AI and stuff. And so, I mean, we're going to hear more and more about this. Like it is, I mean, this is pretty much economic, like changing what's happening with AI here and stuff. And it's going to be very interesting to see of like, okay, well, do people, I mean, all of us never liked calling like Rogers and stuff because it was usually to us, it sounded like it was call centers. I wonder if they're actually going to do better, if people will more enjoy the AI, or are they going to say, hey, I actually miss the call centers? And even just hearing from people about tech jobs, like back in the day, everyone said, go get into tech. Supposedly, like, I mean, people like it is brutal out there for trying to get a job right now. Like no one's able to get into it. And we know that for one, lots of the big companies are saying, hey, we're not hiring engineers anymore. It's all going to be replaced by AI. And so it's a pretty crazy world that way.
Yeah, that's kind of sad too. Like even when I worked at eBay, like, geez, that was 20 years ago now. When it came time to downsize, they were very underhanded about things about like, oh, hey, what if we turn off this filter? How many headcount would that save? Or like how many reduction, whatever. And they were very coy about it. It was like execution. And then they brought in a senior executive for the very reason of downsizing in terms of like making efficiency. And of course they had to coin his title department of something. Yeah, almost like a Doge, department of whatever, corporate efficiency. In other words, how do I lay off people?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean,
so
that's what we're going to see what's going to happen with the Liberals and Carney here. I mean, they're talking about it. I don't know if you saw that video there, Alex, of him kind of explaining how the government works of like, hey, it's like an investment. Think of it like your home. You buy a home, you have to use a big down payment into it. You don't see much of it, but then it appreciates over time. The real hilarious thing in here is just saying, again, how much Canadians love real estate. The government is using it as a tool to say, hey, this is why we're doing this. Now, of course, you have expenses. You got your hydro, you got your utilities. Never like that, but it's part of your business. It's like when you own a home, it's not a business. Principal residence is not a business. I personally believe it should not even be called an investment. I call it a high interest savings account. And now the Liberals are trying to say, hey, this is why we're going to do all these things. We're going to replace our budget in 3 years, but we have to spend a crazy amount of money, and it's all for the better. And they're trying to show it as buying a house, which is just, it's kind of hilarious.
It is. You know what? It's perfectly segues to the next thing I want to talk about. Part of the Carney government, Finance Minister, I don't even know his full name, Champagne, Francois Philippe Champagne, sent a letter to fellow cabinet cabinet members to find ways to reduce spending.
Yep.
Has hell frozen over, Alex?
They're
like, I remember, I remember during the election, Pierre and the Conservatives were saying the same thing about we need to reduce government bloat. Yeah. We've been recorded on the pod, and you and I are in agreement that we need to reduce government bloat. Now the Liberals have taken the Conservative platform and be like, oh, we need to save money. And you know what? You guys don't even have a budget, and you're like,
we want to save money without a budget. Like that's just
exactly.
I've been sitting with so many people lately, Alex, and it's just like I realize, and maybe I think we should do an episode on just budgeting, helping people understand how to budget, because sitting with people again, it's so understanding that people just don't even know where their money is going. It's like you need to build a budget to understand where you're spending money. Because you sit with someone and say, hey, you make 100K, your rent is $2,000. Where's your other $4,000 going? Oh, I don't know. Like, I don't have a truck payment. I have some food. It's like, it's going somewhere. Like, you're spending this money somewhere because it's not in your bank account. And that's pretty much the government. They say that, oh, we're going to look at it after. It's like, no, you need to have an idea of what we're spending first.
Yeah, I think what a lot of people do is that they know what their expenses are. Once they cover their expenses, then everything else is gravy. So they do whatever the hell they want. You're like, okay, I just have to make my mortgage payment, my car payment, uh, uh, hydro, cell phone, you know, other things like that, gym membership, whatever. I just need to make sure I have all these covered, enough money in the bank to cover all those things. Once it's covered, have any extra, have at it. That's why we go out and all that stuff.
Exactly.
You know, yeah, it's important to have a budget to understand, like, yes, you've gotten the basic thing of cover your expenses, but you have to have a plan on the extras. If you have extra, hopefully you do have extra. Yeah. Unfortunately, especially in Vancouver and Toronto area, it's very hard to even have that extra. It's almost like you're barely just breaking even, if not going negative. Yeah. But having a budget, having a plan, at least it is kind of, sometimes it hurts because you are shining a light on maybe, looking at what you're spending your money on. Do we need to make cuts? There needs to be sacrifices along the way. I mean, our family, we made that sacrifice. Yeah. We're down to one car. My wife doesn't like sharing a car, but we have to. Sometimes you have to make sacrifices, and maybe people will spend more time researching their vacation than they will with their mortgage and their budgeting. Yeah, I can tell you that.
Yeah, and again, I mean, I don't understand how people will book a vacation without the money already saved. They'll finance it on a credit card. That just blows my mind. Spending money that you don't have, thinking, oh, I'll pay it back later. That is just how you're chasing the dragon. You're just never going to be able to catch up because something else is always going to come up. And I mean, hey, use your credit card for the points on the travel, but you need to have that money in a bank account. Like, you can't book a $5,000 trip with $0 in your bank account and just use your credit card. Like, that is what is causing your issues.
That is a road to never land.
Yeah.
It's like, from a human psychology perspective, I can see why, because obviously it's way more exciting to book that vacation because you're like, oh yeah, what we're going to do when we're away and all that stuff. Honestly, yeah, finances, it's boring.
Yep.
Right? It's boring, but it's important, so that's why we have this pod here. We hopefully, I don't know if we make it exciting, but at least interesting enough that you make it important in your life.
I was just going to bring up again, we're going into the Liberals here a little bit hard, but I mean, Carney is in Alberta for the Calgary Stampede, and he's now talking about pipelines as a potential infrastructure project. All of his spending has been talking about infrastructure, which I do like that. It's just, I mean, all I can say here is, like, with Mark Carney on the Liberals, like, it is just, he's very right leaning. Like, everyone that thinks that Carney was going to be this liberal person is like, everything he's doing is conservative. There's really nothing else different that way.
The support for pipelines is actually quite high amongst polls here. There's a poll showing that 80% of Canadians are in agreement that we should have pipelines running from sea to sea. Now, the one problem or the one obstacle we need Quebec on board because so far Quebec has been kind of blocking it. Now, the question is, will Carney say the same thing if he is in Quebec? Because he's been known to say one thing in one province, but say something different in French in Quebec. So is it, I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, there has been more talks about it. And again, like, I believe we need to have more pipelines going so we can get more of our export going somewhere else other than the US, or, hey, doing it in our own backyard, even better. And put a plan on it. Put a plan saying, hey, we're going to do this for 20 years and X amount of the profits are going to go to other greener like plans. Like, there's ways to use what we have in the right way and benefit the rest of Canada. where right now we're just doing things to shoot ourselves in the foot for the future.
I mean, even if you look at this graph here, we're going to get this thrown on the video side. Even in Quebec, there's 74% support for pipelines. You know, like it's almost like you need the government to help work for you, not block you and
I mean, again, I can
create some adversarial.
Quebec is all like Quebec's going to sit. They'll only say yes, but you have to give us this. Like that's the thing Quebec's going to do is they're going to say, oh yeah, we'll let you do this, but you need to give us that. And it's just like so crazy to think one province can blackmail the rest of every other province.
Yeah. I mean, the same could be said for Alberta too. Like, I mean, Alberta's we have like 90% of the resources of the oil in Alberta. So, I mean, they haven't done it, but you know, they've been good for the country. We're going to do more shitting on the government here. So, per the CMHC, immigration caps that you know that they recently did are contributing to lower asking rents in Canada. Now, former immigration minister Mark Miller tweeted that a few days ago. A few thoughts came to mind when I saw that. First, no shit, Sherlock, and thank you, Captain Obvious. Yep. We told you that right from the very beginning. And this graph here shows, you know what, non-permanent residence growth driving rent growth, and I mean that's the we're not in economics. We don't have an economics major, but any person that is logical can, you know, like when you reduce demand, you will reduce prices. Well, not only with rent, the same thing with the housing prices.
Yeah, exactly. This is just showing like this chart should be compared to like, hey, if we had a more supply in housing, our prices could go down. Like that's been our issue. And like, this is where, hey, I think it's great that rents are going down. Like that is allowing, again, our rents have been increased so much. Our mortgage costs are so much. Like we need to find a spot where people can like have a rental as their stepping stone so they can actually go buy a place. But most of the time, the rent costs either the same or more than getting a mortgage. Obviously, they can't qualify for it because they don't have the right budgeting stuff and they're using more of the money on the rent. But it'd be nice for people to be able to go in a rental, save extra money, be like, all right, I'm now going to use this to go buy a house.
It's hard. Like we talked about it last week where RBC was reporting that it's been most affordable, you know, in air quotes, in the last 3 years. But it's still unaffordable. So what that meant was things just shot out into a moon during COVID, during mass immigration, and it became meteoric levels that was like, now it's come down to earth, but still it's not great. So
well, it's still not great. And
it is a good sign.
It's still like, again, when we talk about people that took these places as investments, like they were using these increased rents that were just never manageable. Like they were fairy tale numbers, like the mortgage rates being at 1.5%. That was not something that was going to stay forever. Hey, it's same thing as when stocks are going up. There's good times and there's bad times. And that's where I'm seeing people complain that, oh, well, the rents are going down. I'm not actually going to be cash flow positive now. It's like, well, why did you buy that investment property that it only worked if you had really high rents? Like that was never going to be a guarantee. I look back at least 7 years. That's when I'm looking at an investment property. I want to know what rents were 7 years ago. That's where I want my baseline. And hey, if the numbers work at those lower rents, amazing. Hey, if I get anything extra, it's a bonus, but like I cannot use today's rent as my benchmark for the next 25 years. Like that just does not work.
Yeah. And then Alex put it correctly a few pods ago. Stress test your portfolio.
Yeah.
You know, when it was 1.5%, 2%, yes, it cash flowed. Everything cash flowed. I mean, you had to stress test your portfolio like 2% more, and I guess in retrospect,
it wouldn't have been as tough. I mean, at least you would have done something. It would have been not as bad. But I mean, these people, as soon as it went up even 0.5%, they were screaming like, "Oh my God, I can't make rents. I can't make my mortgage." Like, well, you shouldn't have bought that investment property then. Like, if you can't,
that was set up to fail. That was set up when conditions were perfect. That were unicorn. That wasn't going to last. Yeah. So, I mean, this kind of it goes into our next bit here where rents have been following in the major markets per CMHC. We're also going to have a graph here. Vancouver down 4.9%, Toronto 3.7%, Halifax 4.2%, Calgary. The party almost looked like it's stopped now, where they're starting to catch up with everyone else. They're down 3.5%. The only place that hasn't declined is Edmonton.
Yeah.
Now, there's some family and friends who've been from Edmonton, are from Edmonton, and Oilers fans. Love you guys, but man, I'd say Edmonton is not as bad as Winnipeg, but I would not move to Winnipeg. Or sorry, Edmonton.
Yeah, and that's where, I mean, again, that's where it's just looking, obviously, and that's why these rents are lower. But again, hey, if I'm trying to find a way to be able to get a home, save money, I'm going to look at this and be like, hey, I could pay $2,800 in Vancouver, or I could go pay $1,500 in Edmonton. I'm going to tell you right now, if I'm trying to save money, I'm going to, and there's going to be a plan.
Yeah.
But that's where most people aren't willing to do that. They're like, you know what? I'll pay that $2,800. I'm going to have $0 in my bank account for the rest of life.
Yeah, because it's the YOLO mentality. You only live once, and you're only young for once. So I want to live downtown, party, drink, and have the lavish life, the Instagram life, and spend lots of money. It was like me growing up too. Making lots of money, living at home with mom and dad, and so I bought a car and I fixed it up, and I spent lots of money on it. I lowered it, put rims, put 2 10-inch subs, fixed up the engine, put headers and all that, air intake, all that stuff. And when it came time to me growing up and just growing out of it, I'm like, God dang, how much money did I spend on that? Like I spent like 20 grand.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like a lot of money now, but back then I'm like, that could have been a down payment for a condo. My goodness. Jeez.
But I mean,
like young people have to go through that.
You do have to enjoy life. Like that's the most important thing here. I don't want to be a one that says, hey, make the strictest budget. Like I tell people, you might need to make a strict budget for a year, and then like make sure you go and enjoy life. Like it's not all about just working and money. You do need to actually get to enjoy some of that, but it's coming up with a game plan. Hey, is this going to take me 2 years, 3 years, 1 year? That's where it's worth it to find and save away, but then make sure you do enjoy it.
Yeah, and I've talked about it many times. We're not saying to cut out your lifestyle. Maybe instead of going out 2-3 times a week, reduce it to one, or reduce it to one every 2 weeks or something like that. Like my biggest expense has been going out, like not exactly going out, but maybe like DoorDash or going takeout. Us being entrepreneurs, we do a lot of lunches and coffees because it's part of our business. It is a business expense, but I'm talking about, I think it's slowly creeping back, is bubble tea, because it's summer. And
so you got to get it out.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Our favorite, we've discovered a place called Coco.
Yeah.
For those of you in the Lower Mainland, I believe this is Toronto as well. Coco bubble tea is amazing. And the favorite flavor is mango, grapefruit, mango pomelo sago. And it's, my goodness, it's amazing. It's like $7-8 a shot.
Yeah. And that's,
we have a family of 4, so it's going to be $32. And of course, these, the tipping culture is crazy, and they're asking you to tip. I'm like, it's a cafeteria. I'm like, no, we can have another discussion on what you feel about tipping. Like if you're standing and you're collecting it, then I'm not tipping. But
no,
I digress.
Anyways, I'm a bad tipper. We won't get into that. Some people may not like. If you give me good service, I'm a really good tipper. If it's just like you're expecting money, you're getting no money.
Yeah, I understand. If we're sitting we're in a restaurant, it's sit down and we're being served. Yeah, tipping. That's what people do. But if you're working those other jobs, like like even Starbucks and everything like that, like. I don't know, man. Or even going to those donut shops and like tipping, or something like, do you tip your barber? Yes.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah,
that's what I do.
And they're like talking. They're giving, like, again, if someone doesn't really talk to me or give me good service and they just cut my hair, they're getting a worse tip. If someone's like giving me, like, making me enjoy the experience, they're going to get a better tip.
Yeah. Or your Uber driver. Yes, I would, because you know what? They're on full commission, or they're full whatever. If I'm going to some cafeteria where I'm picking up a bottle of water and just bringing it right to the cashier, and they're asking me to tip, I'm like, why the hell am I tipping you for? Like,
yeah. And I mean, some people say, like, some of them, like liquor stores have it, and some of them say like it's built into their system. And the ones I really like, they're like, hey, you're going to get a tip thing, just hit 3 right away. Like the people that are aware of it, I almost want to give them money because it's like, hey, you're aware that this really shouldn't be happening, and that's not
Yeah.
right. And it's yeah, I'm
Well, since we're talking about it, I know like there are people from other countries that are saying, "Hey, you should just pay your workers a living wage." That could very well be, but what that means is your goods and services will be that much more expensive,
yeah.
right? Like I believe was it is it in UK or Australia where the tip is built into the food price, so what exactly is
They're
on the
New
bill is
Zealand or
exactly what you
UK.
pay.
There isn't like
Yes.
they don't tip at all in Australia. In the New Zealand, I know.
Yeah, because it's built in. So they the workers get paid $25 an hour or something like that, or whatever equivalent here. But then your food cost is that much more. So it essentially works out to almost the same. So
But
that's
again,
our little bit on tipping.
we won't go too hard in there. But now again, just talking about more of like just layoffs. Again, we're gonna see this more and more, and this is again to do with immigration. More than 10,000 Ontario college staff laid off, 600 programs canceled or suspended over the past year, and this is because there's not a mass amount of immigration coming in. These colleges in Ontario, they use that system to profit from, and it's come, but it's sad for obviously those 10,000 people. Again, it's something that probably never should have been there before. And they're saying like this is one of the largest mass layoffs in Ontario's history. Like that's pretty crazy that way.
Yeah, and this is bigger than Hudson's Bay, who laid off 8,000 employees. List of colleges in Ontario. I don't recognize any of them. The only one I really recognize is Seneca, as a college there. But I mean, hey, some people on social even coined these are all diploma mills, and that like you're right, they took advantage of
They were.
the government having loose immigration, and hey, right as
How,
far as
how many
we
people work at McDonald's do you know have diplomas? There's a lot of people that work at McDonald's that have diplomas. They used it to get in, which is, hey, these people were, some of them were fleeing war torn countries and stuff, but like these were not programs that were actually going to make Canada better. Like that they had no use of like helping us actually as a civilization.
Yeah, it was abused to fast track to PR, and I mean, we talked about it a few weeks ago, where a consultant took advantage of it to charge people to place them at Canadian Tire, and that was just the one case we heard about that's public. I'm sure there are several others. If there's one immigration consultant that does it, I'm sure there are several, maybe hundreds of others that have taken advantage of the system. So, um, like government, we need to like stop this Lima program. Like we don't need it. It's like it's like having a colander and pouring your water in it and wondering where the water is gone. That's like our money.
Yeah.
Where is it going? And we've even seen too where under the Trudeau government, we've sent billions of dollars to other countries because of um, gender equality programs, and like you were saying before, there is no accountability. What is the result of it? Or is it going straight to the corrupt officers' coffers? Like we don't know.
Yeah, it's deep dark tunnel. I don't like to go over that, but I do think this one. I feel for all the people that have obviously lost these jobs, but again, this is to do with immigration, and we're going to see these cracks all over the place. Like immigration has been propping up. We were talking about it on the last podcast. Like the small towns in BC and stuff, they're hurting because they don't have cheaper employees. Now, again, that stuff should be from the kids. Like younger teenagers should be doing these jobs, not the immigrants. And they like again, they're the hardest thing is they're much harder workers and they're willing to do it because they get paid 100 times better than where they're from. And so like they have every right to be doing it. Like I give immigrants all the props. Like they are much harder workers than 95% of the rest of Canadian population. We all just go and coast, and they're crushing it. They're working 3, 4, 5 jobs to try and get ahead.
I want to make a public service announcement while we're on that topic. I'm seeing a lot more hate on social media about South Asians, Indians. Stop it. It's not their fault. They've come to our country on false pretenses, to be honest. They were sold a bill of goods, And now, like a lot of them are, who may have been doctors, engineers, lawyers, or whatever, but their credentials are not recognized by Canada or our local governing bodies. And so they've resorted to being Uber drivers, Tim Hortons, or whatever, just to make it. And some have thought about just going back home. Um, I'm feeling a lot more angst. Like there's more hate growing, and it's not their fault. So stop the hate. Really, if anything, throw that hate to the government, man. They let this happen.
Now, the hard thing I will say is like,
You know,
there is some of those that do come over and they're trying to steal from the system. Like that's the hardest thing. And
yes,
you can, like, let's talk about Brampton. We got mortgage fraud. That is where it goes and everything. And the hardest thing is they are the ones that are doing it. So like, again, same
yes,
with everyone else, there's good people and there's bad people. We can't group every single one of them as bad people. Same thing as we can't group every single one of us as good people and bad people. Like, but we just have to be understanding.
yeah. And even during COVID, man, there was a lot of Asian hate happening. Like, oh, we were the cause of coronavirus and all that stuff. And my wife went on a humanitarian trip to Mexico City right before COVID started, and they were kind of like locals were snickering on, haha, Corona, whatever, and we're like that kind of thing, that stereotype, like we're living in a pretty like the age of social media, and a lot of like vitriol gets spout out there, especially on X, social, and everything like that. Let's not contribute to that. We are. Let's all be good people and good global citizens to each other.
Exactly.
If anything, direct our unrest to the government, allowing that to happen.
Oh, exactly. That is it for sure.
Yeah. So one final thing before we wrap up here. Now, government insured purpose built rental housing starts are surging in Canada.
Yeah, and now this is solely because of some of the products that the government came out during COVID, which the big one is the CMHC MLI Select, allowing people to put up towards only 5% as a down payment, getting 50-year amortization. So a project, like when you buy an investment property in Canada, we have to put 20% down. That's the minimum as a residential purchase, where you're now able to finance a $50 million purchase with 5%. In some cases, it's less than one person buying a single investment property, which has been great. It has been lucrative for certain peoples. The cracks are starting to show again. There is like they use a market rents and they were using those inflated rent prices. A lot of people now are like, holy shit, I own this 50-unit building and my rents aren't actually covering everything because rents are lower. Their vacancy is actually higher than they planned for and everything. And this is just another one of the tools that the government has been bad at, of like, hey, let's just build a bunch of purpose-built rentals, which again, like, who does that help? It only helps the people that own the rental. Does not help the people that are renting unless prices were lower.
So you might be a little bit more experienced in this, and I I read somewhere where if the market rents were lower, the loan amount will be cut back in
Correct.
accordance to
Yeah.
that. Is that correct?
Yeah, in certain areas, like, hey, let's say if you want to build in like on Vancouver Island compared to downtown Vancouver, well, the loan to value, maybe I would have had to put 15% down, where in Vancouver it'd be 5%. A lot of these couldn't even be completed in Vancouver because the land cost is just too expensive. You can't even build a purpose-built rental. The numbers don't math. Most of these, like I've seen a lot of them on the island as well as in Alberta. That's where all these are going. I mean, if you check any Facebook group right now for real estate, there's developers trying to sell these things. They're saying, hey, we've been approved at CMHC. The issue is they actually changed the rules about 6 months. The down payment is increased from 5%. You need to have about 15% now. You need to show a higher net worth and everything. So there's people that are actually now scrambling of like, I can't even complete this project now. And that's where it's easy to look at numbers when everything looks really, really good, but you have to look at numbers when there's a worst case scenario involved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are you finding here with the CMHC Select, are these individual developers or can it be kind of like a conglomerate of investors together as like
It's,
a
yeah,
bank or
yeah, it can be like a group of people. Now you have to have like background. And so like sometimes what happens is like, let's say, Alex, you had extra money and you want to go do this. Well, you need to join with someone that has history of doing developments. You can't just be a guy off the street and say, hey, I want to go do this. You have to be able to show to the banks and the insurers like, hey, I have history for this. So that's where people are like grouping together. You might have the money, or you need the guy that actually has like the history of doing
the expertise. Yeah. Yeah, I understand. Okay.
now.
Well, that's good news. I mean,
on them, and like I think like they are good and they're good like they can be good investments and everything, but it's just going over the right setup, the right products, and as rents go down because we're not bringing immigrants in, like this is going to become an issue. I personally believe, Alex, in Ontario, we know that it's like a bloodbath there for all their like condos and apartments. I think the government's going to have to step in and buy those to turn those into purpose-built rentals. That's honestly what I believe is going to have to happen. They'll probably give like bonds to the developers, give them a certain amount of money now, give them more later. But I mean, no one else is going to buy a 300 square foot condo to live in. It's not for investors anymore. And so they're going to get turned into like, I mean, downtown Toronto might become the slums. It might become just a area for
low income housing or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. One final item before we get out of here. RBC now says that Bank of Canada is done cutting rates. They're saying here with trade risk fading and inflation still sticky, it expects the overnight lending rate to hold at 2.75%, which translate to current prime rate at 4.95 through 2026. Alex, do you agree with them?
At the moment, I do. Right now, I don't know if we see any more rate cuts. Now, it could change like next week. Like this data is like, I'm not going to set and say, hey, I'm standing on an edge saying that there is no more rate cuts this year at all. But the data to me right now is pointing that I definitely don't think we're getting one July 30th. I thought maybe we'll go out into later December, October. My thoughts were rates were still going to go down more this year and potentially late 2026, they could go up a bit. And so that's where maybe it's better that we just stay here and then we don't have any increases. It's just we're dealing with everything else in the world. The US bombing other countries, like there's a lot of uncertainty and the bank is not going to be cutting right now with that uncertainty, I don't think. Unless more of these job reports coming in lower and lower, that's going to change the tune. And I mean, if we're talking 10,000 from Ontario, we're talking Rogers, we're talking IBM, that's where I could see it changing and be like, holy shit, our unemployment is 10%. That's where I would definitely change it of like rates are going down.
Mm-hmm. I am, you're a little bit more on the conservative side. I'm a little bit more optimistic.
Yeah.
I read a report from TD about the US also being a little bit, we know that rates will trend down, but they're probably agreeing with RBC as well, and they might hold for now, but they see it going. So I'm gonna be a little more optimistic and be like 1, maybe 2 before the end of the year. But you're right. I don't think July 30th will be. I think if anything, that might be like a September and a December kind of rate cut, if anything. Obviously, I'm hopeful in that, right? And it all depends on what's going on. If those numbers keep trickling in, more layoffs and unemployment, it was 7%. If that inches closer to like 8 or 9 by the end of the year, we will see more. So we will see.
It's an ever changing thing. We could go back to the start of the year and it was like rates are going to come aggressively down, and it's always changing. And I just think we just have to wait and see. I do think like where rates are at 4%, 3.8, like that to me is probably a healthy market. People are still transacting, like people are still buying real estate. Yes, it's down in BC and Ontario, but that's because we're talking about these apartment buildings that no one wants to live in.
Absolutely. And homes at like $1.5 to $2 million for nothing special, to be honest with you. But yeah, so we will see. I mean, it all stems on uncertainty, especially with the trade stuff. Yeah. Good numbers on the economics and how things go. So, yeah. Any closing thoughts, Mr. Shanks?
No, that's good. I think I'm excited for the weekend. So I hope you have a great weekend as well there, Alex, and everyone else.
Sounds good. We do have a guest coming on next week. She's a realtor, talking about the market and things on the ground. And, have we seen any changes? And, what's in terms of timings on where the opportunities are.
Yeah.
All right. So on behalf of Alex Shanks, I'm Alex Pang. Thanks for tuning in to episode 45 of the Canadian Mortgage Show. We'll see you next time.
Now, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, make sure to follow us. Please give us a 5-star rating. You can even send us an email because we want to know what you guys want to hear about. That's what we're here for. Reach out anytime.